right. Good evening, everyone. How are you? And welcome to our countdown to International Convention. I'm Jim Winkler. I'm Vice President of Sales with Market America. And tonight we have some special guests for our fireside chat that you're going to really have some fun getting to know if you don't know them already. First, I would like to introduce Trina Maduro-White. Trina is a supervising coordinator. She's waving at you right there. She's got the fire in the background for the fireside chat. And she's a supervising coordinator, which means she's earned in excess of $7,500 in a 4-week pay cycle. She's also a local coordinator out of the Phoenix, Arizona area, and just an all-around talent, as well as an ex-college hooper. She can shoot the rock and make some baskets with us. So Trina, great to have you on tonight. You're on mute, just so you're aware. And then next to Trina is Chele, who is a director with the company, a $1 million earner with the company. A director, someone who's earned in excess of $18,000 in a 4-week pay cycle. A director, she's a local coordinator as well. Interesting, both of you participating in the GMTSS, which as I have for so long. But and both great friends, great talents, great leaders. Market America superheroes flying around doing all sorts of great things with people. And tonight we're going to spend some time with them. If I could, Trina, I'll lead off with you and give us a little background on your journey to Market America. How did you get introduced to the unfranchised business?
Thank you, Jim. Great to see everybody. Can you hear me okay? Is my audio good?
I can hear you, yes.
Perfect. My journey, I don't know if we have all night, but I'm so excited because Market America is in my life. And I remember 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I was praying, like, there's got to be another way. There's got to be something more to life. I did everything everybody told me to do. Grew up in the south side of Chicago, voted the least likely to succeed, single parent home, 14 siblings, between the bullets of 2 rival gangs. And I remember thinking, I want to go to school. I want to go to college. I want to go to graduate school. I want to get my PhD, because when I got a glimpse of hope, that education can take me a direction that can get me out of the ghetto and put me on a trajectory of success, that's what I was shooting for. When I got to the point of pursuing my PhD, Jim, when I got to the point of climbing the corporate ladder with a well-renowned youth serving organization as the CEO, I realized, I got an epiphany. I got a revelation that the prayer that I had as an 8-year-old little girl, just desperate, for hope and desperate for a lifeline. Now, fast forward, I'm in my early 30s, and I'm saying to myself, this cannot be the pinnacle of life. Because although it was a great ride, I enjoyed getting a higher education, bachelor's degree, master's degree, certification, just reaching, just kind of the pinnacle of the farthest you could go in that space as a nonprofit executive, as a board member. And I got to a stretch in the road, a fork in the road in life, when I had a series of interesting experiences, not so positive in corporate America, that caused me to really dig deep to figure out if this is the direction I wanted to go. So what I did was I took my PTO, my vacation time, my sick time, and I literally traveled the country learning something different. I knew I had something in me that was an entrepreneur, that had business acumen, because I was just that little girl in the street, selling pop bottles, crushing cans. I was the neighborhood hustler. If I could hustle in the neighborhood, it was deep down inside of me that I knew that I could do something more and different. And so while I was, working for this large youth serving organization, and then at the time working with meeting the local billionaire that I was looking to solicit funds for the kids program, I remember that as an athlete, I had a career-ending injury. And that career-ending injury was causing me to have knee problems. And so one day, my pastor said, I want you to try this purple stuff. We went to Dallas, Texas, because they didn't have it where I was. And that was 22 years ago. It was OPC3.
Wow.
And I heard there was a business behind it, and I was eager to find out about it. So it was through a person that I knew that was one of the local leaders here in Arizona. I said, you know what? I have to find this purple stuff because I haven't been able to find it for a couple of years. So that was sort of my backstory journey to meeting OPC3.
Oh, wow. And thank goodness you did. And I know what a help that's been to you all these years later and doing good. That's great, Trina. Great story. Product first for you, right? And then
Product
came the
first.
business. Product first. Chele, let's move over to you. And why don't you give us your background on how you're introduced to the unfranchised business?
Sure, absolutely. So I grew up in Wisconsin, a hardworking Wisconsin farm girl. There were 7 kids in our family, and I was the one of 7 that decided to go away to college. I ended up graduating with human relations and psychology and wasn't sure what to do with that. Ended up pursuing a career managing facilities for people with disabilities. Great career. I will always say that I loved what I learned, and I love the skill set I gained there. I learned who I was, and it was actually my supervisor at work. Now, I would say when I was probably 15, my mom had started us, working with a reflexologist. We got more into holistic health. So I always had a strong interest and started to create sort of a background in research in that. My friend from work, who was my supervisor, decided to approach me with this business opportunity, but he started with the products. And I think that's important for people to hear because you have to be able to align yourself with where people are at and what interests them. And if he'd have started with the business, chances are I would have never probably gone and looked. But because he started with the products, it was about 3 months that I was using the products when he said, I think you should take a look at the business. And he said, I'm going to get started with this company. And Jim knows who I'm talking about. A lot of people think that Jim was actually my personal sponsor, the gentleman who enrolled me in the company, but Jim was not. Jim ended up really becoming my mentor, the company. But this guy drives me down to Milwaukee on a Tuesday night. I have got 2 babies sitting at home, and I'm driving to Milwaukee to look at some silly business opportunity.
How long a drive was that, Chele?
Well, at the time it was about 2.5 hours.
One way.
Yeah, one way. Yeah. Yeah. So I sit in the front row, and who's presenting the business plan? Jim Winkler, who is also very new with the company. But Jim, it truly was. It's different when you sit there with somebody who you develop a level of trust with. And I think that's a huge point that I bought into you probably more than I bought into the company. And there's something to be said about that. So I sat down with Jim afterwards because he was messy at the time. There were personal issues we were facing in our family life. And I looked at Jim afterwards and I said, Jim, you have to understand, I am scared. I am skeptical. I have no money. I have no time. So if this is one of those things and this is not the path that you would want your family to go down, then please tell me now, because otherwise I'm going to have to kill you. And that is the true story.
Words, by the way.
That is a true story. And it is now my 24th year. And in case you didn't notice, we are both still alive.
Which is great.
but I came home, and of course I ran this by my husband, and of course he looked into it, but it was a quick decision that we were never going to look back. And I think, Jim, that's something that I hope comes across tonight from both Trina and I. We're the type of people that once we made the decision and made the commitment, we weren't looking back. The failure wasn't an option. Right. And that's something I think becomes very evident in the way that we treat our business as well.
Yeah, I love that. And this is great for all the guests to be hearing that you may share this with. And, to all the people on with us tonight, I'd like to say hello. I see you've been putting where you're from, which I love. I've got people from all across the world actually on, which is wonderful. So thanks for doing that. And, Trina, would love to ask you, what do you find is one of your biggest benefits of having your own? Now, after all these years with your unfranchised business, what would be one of your biggest benefits?
Because that OPC3 represented physical freedom, quality of life. And then I'm like, whatever company is behind this purple stuff, this company really cares. Because this is that you can tell they really care because of the effectiveness of, something that you're trying for the first time and you just trusting blindly. And then learning there's a business behind it, and then knowing that I can spend my life and my time helping people and transferring my skill sets from social administration to becoming an entrepreneur and with a product that I having the best of two worlds and a win-win situation. The customer win, my family win because they were on the products and it worked for them. And if I can trust it with the people closest to me, then I can trust it with the world. And not only that, I was able to give them the pink slip. You know, I'm not saying it facetiously. I'm just saying it because freedom means everything to me. Now I was able to spend an extra 40 to 60 to 70 hours per week on customizing my life and really giving to the causes that I believe in and helping the people unconditionally. And without the benefits of the unfranchised, I don't know where I would be. I know this has been a life-altering, life-changing experience for me. And after all of that schooling and higher education and academia, and I don't regret anything.
No, that's great, and that's a great benefit. You know, as I was listening to you guys, I took a note, and I think Trina, you said you were one of 14 siblings. Is that right?
Yes.
And Chele, you said one of 7.
Right.
So we need to look for people from big families. Steve. That's what we're looking
from
for.
And from the Midwest.
And from the Midwest.
Right.
And by the way, if Trina's audio comes in and out a little bit here and there is a monsoon going on right now in Phoenix. So you're doing good. It's coming through, but I'm just letting if you do hear something, it's because she's in a major storm at this point. So we're hoping we can get through this without any technical difficulties on her parts. And Trina, you're gonna have to get ready when I get back to Arizona. It's time for our one-on-one game. All right, a little
Yes, sir.
or some one-on-one.
Chele's gonna be the referee. I'm ready for you, Jim.
All right. Chele, let's turn this to you now. And what has been your biggest benefit as a franchise owner?
So Jim, this question for me, it's a very serious question because it really rings true to my heart. If you look back, and Jim has been there every step of the way, where I first, the obvious things, you know, where, okay, I get to be home with my children. Obviously, that was one of the initial things. However, years down the road, it would have been June 24th of 2011. Many of you have heard this story. This is the truth. What I don't think people understand is when you are in situations in life, most often fear dictates everything you do or do not do in some cases. I had gone out to a moving up seminar. Jim was actually one of the trainers. I was out there with a group, a large group, my own team, and it was Friday night, and I got a phone call that my husband had actually gotten picked up. And I wouldn't share this if it hadn't been shared before without obviously, you know, him sitting here, but Tony knows very well. That was one of the most devastating moments of my life. It was his 5th offense. Many people did not know that Tony was struggling with an alcohol addiction. He now has 10 years of sobriety. So that was the last day Tony ever drank a drop of alcohol. So that is an amazing thing. But what I realized through that, guys, was as I came through it, and Jim just basically said, hold your head high, be truthful and honest, you will get through this, and eventually your story will impact lives as a result of it. And he was right. But what I want to say is this, I got more phone calls of people worrying about if I was going to be okay financially. That was the least of my worries, the least of my worries. I was a supervising coordinator, which means I had earned in excess of $7,500 in a 4-week pay cycle. So that was one of the first times that I realized, oh my goodness, like this is definitely the path I needed to be on. So job well done. Who can say that? We've not even lived here 5 years. It's a 5-acre property, a 5,300 square foot home. Not that that matters, but what I want you to hear is that because we chose this platform, we are able to do that. Now let's move forward a little bit further. Many of you know right now, my mom is going through some extreme health challenges. There's 7 children. All of us love her very much. I really am the only child who has the freedom to be able to go there, stay overnight with her, and give her everything that I possibly can and show her all the love and support through this. Everyone in the family loves her. Everyone wants to support her, but they can't be with her because they are right now at jobs around people. She has no immune system. So, I mean, that's just 3 major benefits. You know, that doesn't even start to embark upon the 4 grandkids that I get to see and my 3 children being entrepreneurs. And there's so many benefits, but those 3 things really stand out when I think about what I would never have had I not made the decision that night 24 years ago to build this business.
Wow, great story, Chele, sharing that. You know what's great listening to both of you is when you talk about the freedom you have, it doesn't mean you don't work. You're both, I know you very well, you're both incredibly hard workers. And you put in the time and you put in the effort. What it means is you get to pick and choose when and where, and you have a digital platform that you can take with you anywhere. I know, Chele, you spend most weeks with your mom now, hours away in a remote area where you still do your work, but you actually have to go somewhere sometimes to do it because of the internet. And I know, Trina, you traveled the US, I think it was last year, for a period of time. We were able to go and live different places. Again, we have a platform that allows us to do that because of what we have with our marketamericashop.com business. But it does take effort, it does take work, but you're going to work hard at something, right? Why not have the ability to do that and have the time to do it when you want and where you want, and then have that, what Chele mentioned, the ability not to have to really worry about things if times get tough. Because one of the things you did mention, that was almost a year where you were almost a single parent dealing with the young kids at that time. So that's why people were worried.
Oh, absolutely. I was a single parent. I mean, really from 2008 to 2012, there was a lot of times I was a single parent that people didn't realize, but it was 2011 that a full year of being a single parent with 3 children. And financial was the least of my worries at that time. Yeah.
Well, let's move into, one of our reasons for getting together tonight. We're 5 weeks away from International Convention. Can you believe it? I can't wait. I'm like a kid. I get excited. It's like those basketball games you and I have been watching, Trina, and we actually got Chele to watch one now, so we're doing good. But 5 weeks away from International Convention. Trina, tell me about your one of your first experiences, first memories of going to a major event like that.
It was Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay. It was, wow, 16 years ago. I was sitting in the nosebleed so far up. I just looked like this blip, this dot, just sitting in the shadows. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to see anyone. I was skeptical. I wanted to go and find something wrong with the company because I had been disappointed so many times, for so many years. And, I was just trying to find a way for this not to work and to criticize, the people who got me there. And, so after 3-4 days in a nosebleed, just trying to be incognito, I asked the person that had brought us there if it would be okay if I moved closer downstairs. And they said, well, it's really crowded down there. I said, I don't care if I sit by myself. I find somewhere in the corner, because it was the atmosphere. Yeah. It was the encouraging community. It was a sense of belonging. It was the stories. It was the testimonies. It was the regular people, because I was seeing people walk across the stage earning tens of thousands of dollars. They had earned it in a 4-week pay cycle, and they don't. I mean, like me, some of them grew up adversity, hard times. Some of them didn't speak the language. Some of them were very young. Some of them had lost spouses and houses, and had gotten there on their piggy bank. And I was just amazed at the stories. And I just remember being overwhelmed, full of emotion. I remember leaving going, I was on this cloud, Jim, this cloud that it took a long time to come down from. Because just living the regular, I'm not going to call life mundane, but just the regular routine in life, especially when I was on a job at the time that was a kind of a toxic atmosphere. So when I go from an encouraging, amazing, life altering atmosphere to back home to a toxic atmosphere in my job, to me, it made me more hungry for a tribe. And for people that says, Trina, I believe in you. Because I was the one that was encouraging everyone around the workspace. But then yet the more I encouraged them, the worse they sank into a rut, because they didn't see any hope in any way out. And I saw a way out at that first glimpse at my first Greensboro International Convention 16 years ago.
No, I'll tell you, and when you see that little glimmer of hope, it changes everything, doesn't it? It gives you that feeling of I can make a difference. I can do something different. Chele, how about you? You know, that first convention or World Conference. I'm already laughing. Go ahead.
Why do I have all these crazy stories? It has to have something to do with my personality, but Trina's like got these hardcore, amazing power team, right? And then here comes me, the Wisconsin farm girl. Anyway, so my story, this is the truth. So I started my business in 1998. So the first convention was August 1998. It was the Greensboro Convention, International Convention. And I thought that if I just stayed quiet and didn't say anything, Jim and nobody else would ever notice that I really was not planning to go because there was absolutely no way. Now, mind you, I have all this personal stuff going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about because we're kind of tucking that away. We are absolutely financially broke. I am afraid to even consider asking off from my job. I think a lot of people have these same situations. So I just quietly sat back until Jim called me one day and said, so here's your first clue on how to talk to people about getting them to convention. So Chele, just calling to make sure you've got everything set, your flight, your hotel, and everything for the convention. I thought, well, that's pretty smart, Jim. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I can't lie to him. So I said, Jim, it's just not in the cards for me this year. Next year maybe, but not this year because I'm not really making much money yet. And Jim said, see, now that would be the wrong answer. So that's not an option. So the option is that we go. So we just have to figure out how we're going to get there. And I'm thinking, if we all just did that, what he did with me, we just need to all do that with our people. And not sure everyone will receive it the way I did, but I took Jim very seriously because I made a promise to him that I would do what he coached me to do. Amen to that for everybody out there. Do what you're coached to do. He would not ask me to do something that would not benefit my business. That would be silly, right? So obviously he cares about me being successful. So here's what I truly did. I got on the phone with my first two personally sponsored guys and I said, if I'm going, you're going. So get on the phone and we're going to start selling some products. And we started selling products. And Tony tells this story that I didn't want anybody to ever know, but it's the truth. I started putting crafts together. I'm not that creative. I'm not that artistic, but I started creating like wreaths and crafts to sell. I started calling and selling product over the phone. I really did this, guys, to raise any money I could. Then we got in one of my partner's cars. Now, my partners both were probably a good 300 pounds, big boys, right? We're in a little Saturn car. One of my partners brings a full laundry basket full of shoes, just shoes, fills the trunk. So here's me for 17 and a half hours laying across the luggage in the back seat for 17 and a half hours. So anybody who wants to complain about the travel, you don't have to fly. You can ride on top of luggage in the back of a Saturn for 17 and a half hours. Then we get to our hotel. Mind you, we don't have money, right? So we rent a very cheap hotel. We get there and I'm like, dear God, what is that crawling on the pillow? And what are those things on the floor? But you did it. And Jim, you saw us. We would pull up. I mean, a year later. So that's my first year. It's the three of us. It's hilarious, but some of the best memories ever. One partner since has passed. The other partner is still with me to this day, Mike Fink. So a year later, we've got about 12 of us staying in a room, 12 of us loading up into a rental car, and we would pile on top of each other, pull up to the Coliseum and roll out of the car. And that is how we got by. So money cannot be an excuse. You just need to figure out how it's going to happen. But again, Jim, I still to this day remember those stories. Like they're some of the most incredible memories. And to have that memory with my friend who is now gone, priceless. Do whatever you have to do to get there. It is worth it. I can remember walking out of my convention the first day and the tears just came. I can still feel that emotion to this day. There's nothing like it. Zoom will never replace the emotion that you feel when you're surrounded by that energy and you sort of just stand there and go, why me? Like, why God? Why me? Why did I find this? How can I be here? How can this be happening to me? Something so positive in my life when, so often we go through such trials in life. So I don't believe anything can replace the emotion you feel when you are there physically in person with that kind of energy, surrounded by those people.
Oh, that's incredible. And I do remember it looked like a clown car because so many people would get out of it. I'd be like, there can't be another one coming out.
And another one would come out. I
It-
swear we had 12 people in a car.
And you guys would drive, 17 hours, 18, I hear people, I'm not going to go. It's 7 hours away. And I'm thinking, you don't know what you're missing. But, you said something really important, couple things, both you did. But one was, once you decided to go, you got on the phone and you called 2 people to go with you. That one call can lead to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 people going, because once you decide to go, you weren't going to go alone, right? And I think we all know that. The other thing, as you both shared these experiences, Kevin Buckman and I were talking last week, and Kevin said, sometimes when you go into the event, these shared experiences, why do people in the military have such a bond? Why do people who've been on a team, like a sports team? My closest friends in the world are the guys I played with in college to this day. Why do you have that bond? Because you went through the wars together. You did the things together. And you know what? You guys went through hey, we'll figure it. I remember, Chele, you and I talking and saying, okay, you need to sell this much of this at this much of a profit, and you can afford the gas to get there if you split it. And Trina, I know what you had to do it. And when you go through that with people, it becomes family, because you've been through things no one else can really understand together. And that's why it's so important to be able to make that effort, if you can be there, to be there in person, to go through and sacrifice and do what you have to do, because that's what leads to the success. The sacrifice leads to the success. I want to ask you guys, what are you doing now? And Trina, I'll start off with you, to get your team there for this event. I know you'll be coming in from Arizona, and you've got people coming in live. You'll have some people virtual. What are you doing to get as many people there as you can?
You know what, Jim, I just have to say, I just thank you so much for a few years ago for instilling in me the importance of culture, and just really creating that team, those team memories and bond, because I didn't really have much business skills sets when I really became Go Now, and you were there to really every step of the way to help change the culture of Team Beast Mode. That's the team that we call ourselves in Arizona, Beast Mode. But yes, I believe that my excitement, my belief, the leadership, sometimes you have to look, it starts from the top down, and every week you're with us, every week you're blowing our phones up, you care deeply. It starts with caring. And my team would say, I can't believe Jim called me, he texted me, he hit me up on Facebook. Trina, you're texting me, you're calling me, you hit me up on Facebook. It's like we are so close, and like we are in the trenches, and we believe in them more than they believe in themselves. And so the way I move tickets is I really get in their grill. It's like, you know what, you can't afford not to go. All these great dreams and aspirations and warm fuzzy feelings, conversations we're exchanging. Now it's time to get that ticket, and let's get on this. Just go take trains, planes, automobiles, skateboards. I don't care. We got to get to convention, because that is where your entire life is going to change. So I just really use personal relationship. Now, again, I'm not going to be the one that's going to strong arm you at all, but I am going to sell. I'm going to use every ounce of my influence, every ounce of my belief, look you eye to eye, woman to woman, or woman to man, and say, you know what? You will never regret it. And you know what? Guess what? If you go through the entire 4 or 5 days and you got nothing out of it, and it was a complete waste of your time, that little $200, I'll give that back to you. It's not about the money. Your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. And so and that's in health, that's in mental health, and that's in wealth. If we're not around people that's gonna care about their body, care about their mind, care about their soul, care about their future, care about their kids, and again, if nothing ever changes, then we find ourselves going around the same mountain over and over again, wishing we had, wishing we did, wishing the opportunity didn't pass us by. And so if I have to give every ounce, every fiber in my being, every ounce in me is gonna do everything I can to convince everyone on my team that they need, not have to, or option, they need to be at convention. Nothing's mandatory with this company. We're entrepreneurs, we're independent business owners. But success is the byproduct of us showing up. Success in whatever way you define it, whatever it means to you, whether it's being home with your grandbabies, or whether it's being a stay-at-home mom, or whether it's being a full-time missionary, however you define that success and that freedom, you know what? It's on the other side of getting to a major event and convention. Because I don't know if I will be sitting here talking to you, sharing with you, if I had not have been to one of those conventions. I don't think I would even be around, because we're human beings. Our batteries run low. We have to recharge our batteries. Chele, Jim, and I, we get beat up and out there just like you do. Life happens to us. I get flat tires. My air conditioning goes out. Things happen to me as well, and it just chips away. It gets a little discouraging and disappointing. But you go to a convention. It was every single convention I go to, come out of. I'm telling you, Jim, I hit another level.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
No, that's great. That's so good. And I would, do you buy tickets ahead of time, Trina, for the next event?
Yeah. I guess, it's so ingrained in me, Jim.
I know, as I asked it, I thought you were going to laugh at me, but I want people to understand, you don't go, do you just buy one for you to the next event and say, oh, I'll get one maybe later or something?
Buying tickets ahead of time is like breathing. I'm never behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
I'm always, this is my oxygen. So yes, I'm always buying tickets ahead. So when they say they're going, bam, here you go. I got a ticket for you right now.
Right. And there's something up here, isn't there, that
I'm registering your tickets.
If you're buying those extra tickets, you're implanting in your mind that you're planning on growing, and you need to have them for your people, right? So that's great. Chele, let's talk to you. How are you moving and selling tickets right now to people?
Right. So the first thing I want to say is, Trina, the psychology of a leader dictates the behavior, activity, and success of their team. And you are such a shining example of having the right psychology, creating the right culture. Every word that comes out, I'm actually taking notes as you're speaking. So truly, truly amazing. The one thing I will say that is very important, I think, is that we have to lead by example. There are a lot of people listening in tonight that are like I was that first couple of months, where I was hiding, and I was hiding the fact that I didn't plan on going, and hoping nobody would reach out to me, hoping nobody would call me. I, like Trina, absolutely 100% believe I would not be sitting in front of you today. Now, I'm not going to say that first convention I was like, wow, holy cow, this is amazing. I was emotional. I was somewhat wrecked. I was confused. I was scared. I felt this big. There was so many emotions. But you've got to do the right thing, so the right thing happens and the right thing duplicates. The leaders have got to lead by example. So here's a couple things I do. Every HBP, every business plan, every first look, every coring, every call workshop, it is always brought up. Why? It has to be. We have to implant and program into their mind that this is what we all do. And I use that language. This is what we do. This is where we are. Well, we will all be here. And when we use that language, people start to become part of that language, and they understand this is an expectation. Like Trina said, it's not mandatory. You're an entrepreneur. You're independent. We can lead you. However, we can't do it for you. But what I will tell you is this. If you want a successful team, then do the right thing and do what you want to duplicate, because everything you do will duplicate. I am very, very concerned every time somebody says to me, well, I think we're just going to skip this one. We'll probably hit the next one. And I'm thinking, goodbye. That's really what I feel like is, I love you. It's been nice knowing you. I'm very sad to see this happen, because there is such a part of me that believes that is the end for you, because it's very hard to continue forward when everybody else is on fire and excited and re-educated and revised and caught up on things. And you sit there going, I have no idea what these people are talking about. I don't know why they're so excited. And you won't get the same listening to a recording. However, having 14 days that we can listen back in and re-listen. So registered ticket holders, being able to listen again. What I do is I go back to the ones that really impacted me, but I feel like, man, I got to hear that again. Or maybe I missed something and I need to come back to that. I will tell you though, there's nothing like being in person and actually absorbing the energy in, standing on your feet, applauding with people, feeling that energy in the room. Nothing will ever replace that. So if you really truly plan to be successful, then lead by example, bring it up all the time, promote it all the time. And again, I agree with you guys. People buy one ticket. What that tells me is you plan to do nothing for the next 6 months besides put your butt in a chair. And that drives me crazy. They do the same thing with seminars. Well, Chele, I got a ticket. Fantastic. I'll see you in 3 months in a chair. And then it'll be another 3 months. Guys, we have to understand you've got to find successful people, find out what they did to get there, and then just do what they did. That it's the simplest solution to success.
Now, I love listening to you too. It's as you bring up culture, and
Yeah.
I think culture is so vital to us as a company. Sort of what we grew up with. Buy 3 tickets to the next event, no matter what. Go for the chairman's challenge. Things that become ingrained in your team, they duplicate down as both Trina and Chele said. It's so important. My first event, I've never missed a major event since. I never will, as long as I'm with this company. Because when Chele was saying bye to the people, meaning they may not quit, but they're probably done building right now. Because you know what? When you're not at the major events, you're off. You don't get that battery recharge, and all we can hope for and pray is that something leads them back the right way to get there. But it's a lot harder to come back than it is to stay on course. Chele?
Jim, do you remember something you used to say to us? And to this day, I remember this. Jim used to say to us, he said, you guys, if you choose not to get those tickets, he said, then go ahead and quit. And then he would pause and he would say, oh, I don't mean quit the business. I mean, quit lying to yourself and quit telling others that you're going to be successful. It will be very hard to create that. You will make a little bit for a little while. When you do the right thing happens.
That's right. Well, you two have been absolutely a pleasure. Amazing. The tips that have come out of this, I'm sure are going to help, hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people as they re-listen to this. And I really appreciate what you're doing to help and support what we're doing here at the company. I'd like to end this and just have Chele, if you'd give any last piece of advice, and then Trina, I'll have you go after her, and then I'll close out for everybody. And you look forward to seeing everybody in 5 weeks.
My last piece of advice with any especially new person is obviously take to heart what we said here tonight, but take to heart what we do as leaders, because again, we are in a position to want you to succeed. There is nothing we would recommend you do or advise you to do that would hurt your business, because we only want to help you. But the one thing that I would leave with everybody is set a true standard that's a little bit higher than what you expect of yourself right now. Get yourself it with reality. When you set up your goals and you set your standard, then back it up with the rituals and the habits that will get you there. I think too often people see the money. It looks exciting. You see e-commerce, that's exciting. What you forget is it took all of us work to get where we are. You can't just suddenly be a supervising coordinator or suddenly be a director. You have to do the steps to get there and earn the right to be there and enjoy the journey as you're headed there. So my last piece of advice is be consistent, stay the course, set a standard high enough, then create your rituals and your habits to establish that standard.
Oh, that is great. Trina?
Yeah, that was amazing, Chele. The late, great Jim Rohn said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better.
Yeah.
That is a quote that I use every single chance I get to speak to an individual, whether it's 2 or 2,000 people. Don't wish it was easier, Trina. I say this to myself. I'm always preaching to myself first. Wish you were better. And for me, going to the convention, putting myself in an atmosphere, putting myself in a place where I'm going to grow, I'm going to be poured into, I'm going to be developed, and the corporate team and the founders and then your peers all surrounding you, believing in you and cheering for you and championing you, and you knowing that I'm not alone in this. I may go home and feel like I'm that lonely voice in the wilderness, but when I'm with my Market America tribe, my entrepreneur tribe, you know what? I know that everything I want is on the other side of hard. That's Monty Williams, the coach of the Phoenix Suns. And I know that if it was easy, everybody would do it. And so I don't look for the easy road anymore, ever, because I look for the road that's going to make me better and make me not only a better person, in every area of my life, but also to rise to a level where eagles fly, to where things don't bother you like they used to. It's like things roll off me like water, because I'm not taking everything personal like I used to. And I used to beg people to be a part of this business and change their life. And I used to want more for them than they wanted for themselves. Now there's so much freedom to knowing that, you know what, I can just let go and I can just love them and I can just be, and I can just, adjust to where they are and continue to speak life into them. And one day at that moment and that right timing, they're going to get that, what JR said, that million of the vote that goes off in their cerebral cortex in the frontal lobe of their brain, and say, you know what? That's what Jim's been talking about. Chele, I get it now. Trina, oh wow. It's taking months or weeks, doesn't matter. We're not going anywhere. But like Frank Kiefer says, it's later than you think.
That's right.
What are you gonna have to say about that? I just want to say, you know what? I don't want you to have regrets, because you think about it, discipline weigh ounces and regret weigh tons. So I want you guys to make that decision and do whatever you can to move heaven and earth to be at the convention if you are able to. I'm sensitive to situations where I understand where your safety comes first. But if you can get there, please get there.
Trina, so good. And, as we close, let's remind everyone about the golden ticket. And there's still time to buy your ticket and get the golden ticket. $3,000 credit on Market America. How would you like to have $3,000 to spend on product? Woo! That would be fun, wouldn't it? Along with VIP privileges, tickets to the next event, so much good stuff. So we've got that golden ticket that we're talking about for everyone. So that's still available. Get your tickets. You may still have the opportunity to get that. There is the 2-week replay on whether you're there live or whether you're there or whether you're watching remotely. And, we do, obviously you can tell all of us really doing that push to get as many people as we can there live. But as Trina said, we're sensitive to if it is a situation where you can't be there live, we want you to do what's best and still get that ticket so you can watch it and be safe and get all the information. It doesn't replace being there, but boy, it's as good as it can get without being there. And to be able to have that information is so wonderful. And for all the guests and all the new people, make a decision to do one or the other. Either get yourself there or get a ticket to watch it on the live stream. Either one, you will be so thankful for. I took a note, and I think it was Chele or Trina who said it. But Trina said it actually. I remember now. Nobody has ever gone to the event or watched events and said, that just wasn't worth it. Doesn't happen. People go and they say, wow, I can't believe I almost missed it. So take the time, take the effort, make the personal phone calls to your team, by the way. That's the key to getting them there. Jump on the phone, say, hey, I care about you. I want you to be there. I want you to understand why I want you to be there and what it'll do for you. I want you to have that ticket to be able to watch it. I understand you can't go, but don't miss the event because you can't go. Guys, it has been my pleasure. We had 2 amazing guests on with us. I hope everyone has a great week. We're 5 weeks away. Let's make something really big happen. Take care, everyone. Have a great night.
Every time that we come to this point, for me, I want you to know it's a magic moment. So in each one of you, you have that opportunity. The future's unknown. What decision will you make to apply the things that you learn? Because that magic moment could change your future. We can change the world. I thank you for making this magic moment for me. Because every time we come together, I don't know if you'll come back because you are volunteers, you're entrepreneurs, but you bring your belief and your dreams back to us for this magic moment. God bless you. God bless you.